You know, if it's not about sports, I find it very hard to concentrate.
Hey, what's up guys? Braden here, and today is Dead Stadiums number 16, and I've been looking forward to this one because it's in my home state of Utah. I actually grew up 45 minutes away from Salt Lake City, where the Salt Palace once stood, so I'm super pumped. In order to explain how the Salt Palace came into existence, we need to first talk about the structure from which the Salt Palace got its name, and that was the OG Salt Palace, built in 1899. At that time, Utah as a state was only 3 years old, and the pioneer outpost known as Salt Lake was beginning to grow. Named for the giant saltwater lake in the area, Salt Lake City was in the midst of a transition from a small village to a major U.S. city, and helping with that was the construction of an exhibition hall named the Salt Palace. The original Salt Palace was constructed in a very unique way. The wood used to build it was soaked in the salt brine of the Great Salt Lake until the wood became crusty. The structure was then sprayed with rock salt, making it glisten in the sunlight and also in the moonlight. Adjacent to this exhibition hall was a bicycle track and 4,000-seat grandstand where spectators could watch bike races. Unfortunately, this original Salt Palace would burn down in 1910 due in large part to the salt-crusted wood it was made out of. For a long time, Salt Lake City was without a landmark building, but that would change in the 1960s. Salt Lake City was preparing to make a bid for the 1972 Winter Olympics, and to do so, they needed to figure out how to convince the International Olympic Committee to choose Salt Lake City as the host. Three men came together to figure out how they could accomplish winning the bid: General Maxwell E. Rich, who was president of the Salt Lake Chamber of Commerce, Calvin L. Rampton, who was governor of Utah, and the publisher of the Salt Lake Tribune, John L. Gallivan. And these three men knew that in order to put a proposal together that would actually be taken with any level of seriousness, they needed a new state-of-the-art venue. And so, in March of 1967, construction officially began in downtown Salt Lake City on a new 10,000-seat venue to be named the Salt Palace, which paid homage to the previous Salt Palace. The area it was built in was called Little Tokyo. While the excavation process was going on, the remains of 3 people were uncovered. No, there wasn't a serial killer on the loose in Salt Lake City. Yet. It was actually a family burial plot from pioneer times. The Salt Palace opened on July 12, 1969 with a Glenn Campbell concert, which was attended by 13,000 people. The venue cost $17 million, which was $2 million over budget. Salt Lake City didn't end up getting the 1972 Winter Olympics, but what they did get was a minor league hockey team. In 1968, Dan Meyer was awarded an expansion franchise in the Western Hockey League for the Salt Lake City market, and he chose the name Salt Lake Golden Eagles. They were operating as a farm club for the NHL's Philadelphia Flyers in those early years. As most expansion clubs do, the Golden Eagles sucked at first. In their first 2 seasons, they finished last in the WHL. Meanwhile, in 1970, the Los Angeles Stars of the American Basketball Association were struggling with poor attendance. The city of Los Angeles already had the Lakers and the UCLA Bruins, both of which were powerhouse basketball teams, and so, to put it simply, LA didn't care about the Stars. The team moved to Salt Lake City in 1970 and became the Utah Stars. They called the Salt Palace home, and attendance immediately improved. I've said it once and I'll say it again, Utah sports fans are the most loyal out of anyone in the world. I may be a little bit biased. In their first season in Utah, the Stars finished with a regular season record of 57-27, second best in the ABA, and 1 game behind the league-leading Indiana Pacers. The Stars went on to sweep the Texas Chaparrals in the first round of the playoffs, upset the Pacers in 7 games in the semifinals, and then beat the Kentucky Colonels in another 7-game series to win the ABA championship. As of this video's release, it is the state of Utah's only pro basketball championship. Game 7, which took place at the Salt Palace, drew a then record crowd of 13,260. Professional wrestling events began to be held at the Salt Palace starting in the 1970s with the promotion AWA, which was the American Wrestling Association. The AWA held several events there throughout the 70s. In 1974, a charity boxing match involving Muhammad Ali was held at the Salt Palace. The event was an exhibition match and intended as a warm-up for Ali, who was preparing to fight George Foreman in the Rumble in the Jungle. Getting back to the Golden Eagles, in 1972, tragedy would befall the team. Team owner Dan Meyer tragically passed away in what was ruled self-deletion, although certain things about this explanation don't exactly add up. I will give you the facts of the case and let you decide for yourself what you think. Meyer traveled to Bloomington, Minnesota for the 1972 NHL All-Star Game. The evening before the game, Meyer went up to his room on the 19th floor of the Bloomington Radisson Hotel. Moments later, his body came falling down and landed next to the hotel pool. Investigators found blood in his hotel room, meaning somebody was bleeding there before his body fell from the 19th floor. Myers' wallet was also found to be completely empty, and the lamp in the hotel room was smashed, indicating that possibly a struggle took place. Once again, his death was ruled to be self-inflicted. What do you guys think? Leave your answers in the comments. The team was then purchased from Myers' estate by Charlie O. Finley, owner of Major League Baseball's Oakland Athletics and the NHL's California Golden Seals. Finley immediately changed their color scheme to green and yellow to match the Athletics and Seals. The team then played under the Seals, serving as their farm team. In the 1972-73 season, the Golden Eagles put together their first winning season ever and advanced all the way to the Patrick Cup Finals before losing to the Phoenix Roadrunners. However, Finley was having money troubles, so the NHL foreclosed on the team in 1973 and planned to shut the team down after the 73-74 season. But at the last moment, Salt Lake City business people Art Teese and the couple Thane Accord and his wife Lorraine Accord purchased the Golden Eagles to save them from being shut down. And it paid off, because after joining the Central Hockey League in 1974, the Golden Eagles won the Adams Cup, which is the league's championship, in just their first season in the CHL. The finals, played between the Golden Eagles and the Dallas Blackhawks, went to 7 games. But what's more, the 7th and deciding game went to sudden death overtime. Talk about edge of your seat. Game 7 was played at the Salt Palace, with Gary Holt scoring the championship-winning goal 18 minutes into overtime, sending the 11,000 fans at the Salt Palace into a frenzy. Golden Eagles head coach Jack Evans was promoted to head coach for the Golden Eagles parent club, the Golden Seals. He would go on to coach in the NHL for a few more seasons before returning to coach Salt Lake in 1978. In 1973, the Salt Palace hosted the ABA All-Star Game, and that season the Stars won the Western Division with a 55-29 record. However, they would lose in the Western Division Finals to the Indiana Pacers. In the next few years, money would become a problem for Stars owner Bill Daniels. He missed several payments to the league, and as a result, on December 2nd, 1975, the ABA shut down the Stars franchise for failing to make payments and meet payroll. Daniels paid back all of his season ticket holders with interest. Despite the unfortunate end of the Stars, Salt Lake City was shown to have an appetite for professional basketball, and so in 1979, the New Orleans Jazz of the National Basketball Association decided to move to Salt Lake City and called the Salt Palace home. The Salt Palace was expanded to 12,000 seats. Meanwhile, in 1980, tragedy struck the Golden Eagles franchise once again. A pair of teenagers, 18-year-old John Calhoun and an unnamed 15-year-old accomplice, broke into the home of Golden Eagles owners Thane Accord and Lorraine Accord and robbed them. Both of the Accords were sadly executed in the basement of their home via gunshot. Calhoun was tried on capital murder charges, found guilty, and given a life sentence. I could not find what became of the 15-year-old accomplice. It's likely his record was sealed due to him being a minor at the time that the crime occurred. The venue was renamed the Salt Palace Accord Arena in memory of the Accords, but still informally called the Salt Palace. However, under the ownership of the Accords' sons, Bill and Dean, the Golden Eagles continued to play well, winning the Adams Cup in 1980 and 1981. The CHL shut down following the 83-84 season, and the team was absorbed by the International Hockey League. The Golden Eagles were assigned as the primary farm team for the Calgary Flames. They changed their color scheme to match the Flames, adopting the colors red and yellow. The team won Turner Cups in 1987 and 1988, which is the trophy for the champion of the IHL. The team was sold to Larry Miller in 1989. Meanwhile, the Jazz started off their tenure in Utah not so good, missing the playoffs in their first 4 seasons. They finally broke through and qualified for the playoffs in 1984, and they would not miss the playoffs again for the rest of their time playing in the Salt Palace. 1984 was also the season in which the Jazz drafted an unknown point guard out of Gonzaga named John Stockton. The Jazz fans that attended that year's draft actually booed at this selection, if you can believe that. Jazz center Mark Eaton won Defensive Player of the Year in 1984, and the Jazz went on to win the Midwest Division with a 45-37 record. They won the Midwest Division again in 1988-89 and again in 91-92. The Professional Rodeo Cowboys Association held the Wrangler Pro Rodeo Classic at the Salt Palace in January of 1990. It consisted of various events such as bull riding, steer wrestling, and bronco busting. On January 18, 1991, a tragedy happened at the Salt Palace. During a concert put on by rock band AC/DC, 3 teenagers tragically lost their lives when they were trampled by the crowd. One of the teenagers, a girl named Elizabeth Glousy, was attending her first ever concert. Lead singer Brian Johnson stopped the show when he was alerted about the trampled teenagers. He was then encouraged by authorities to continue playing to prevent rioting from the crowd. The band would go on to release a statement expressing their condolences to the victims' families. Families of the victims went on to sue AC/DC and Salt Lake County, and those lawsuits were settled in 1992. It was around this time in the late 80s and early 90s that the Jazz and Golden Eagles wanted more space and a bigger arena. 12,000 seats was a lot for hockey and basketball back in 1969, but by the 1990s it was considered small. Jazz owner Larry Miller began campaigning to get a new arena, which led to support from Utah state legislators. By 1989, the Utah state legislature approved a funding plan by utilizing money from hotel taxes and municipal bonds. The project was set to cost around $93 million. Construction on the Jazz and Golden Eagles' new home, called the Delta Center, began on June 11, 1990, which marked the beginning of the end for the Salt Palace. The Delta Center was completed in record time, as it was ready for the Jazz and Golden Eagles to move in within 15 months. Despite the Jazz and Golden Eagles moving out of the Salt Palace in 1991, the venue stuck around for a few more years, mostly being used for concerts and occasionally circuses and rodeos. Whitney Houston performed there in May of 1991, and Guns N' Roses performed there in July of 1991. But sadly, the venue wasn't going to stay open forever. Demolition began in February of 1994, with demolition crews tearing it down one support column at a time. Over several weeks, it was dismantled, officially making it a dead stadium. The site is now the home of the Salt Palace Convention Center, also known as the Salt Palace No. 3. It opened in February of 1996 and is still open to this day. The Salt Palace played a key role in putting Salt Lake City on the map. It served as the first home of the Jazz after moving to Utah. It also housed the Salt Lake Golden Eagles, who were among the most successful minor league hockey teams of all time. And of course the Utah Stars, who won Utah's only professional basketball championship. Economically speaking, the Salt Palace was instrumental in turning Salt Lake City from a mid-sized town into a hub of entertainment and urban growth. The Salt Palace is special, and it's special to me because it's in a place that I call home. If you liked this video, leave a like. If you hated it, leave a dislike. But either way, comment for the algorithm. Peace out.
I can never ever find the right words, and there's no way this is real life. There's no telling you're the right girl, so I can only say that it feels right. It feels right, it feels right. Yeah, I can only say that it feels right. It feels right, it feels right. Yeah, I can only say that it feels right.